Hi guys! So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. And I think I've mentioned in one of my past videos that I'm not a big fan of Agatha Christie because when I used to read her books, I would just find the characters a bit cardboardish. Like they were there just so Hercule Poirot can show that I'm the smartest person around. It was over the top. But then I read ABC Murders and it blew me away. It was so good and the murders were super interesting and I thought that was her best, which is very dumb of me to say because I haven't read all of her books and I didn't even read like a big majority of her books. But now I've read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd and I absolutely love it. Also, this video is going to be for the first part of it is going to be a no spoiler review and then we'll get into the spoilers. So let's get into it. The first thing that I want to talk about is the characters, which I thoroughly enjoyed, which is very weird because usually in a detective type of story, the characters aren't very fleshed out. They don't feel like real people. But in this one, I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed Dr. Shepard or Flora Ackroyd. They were absolutely amazing and I thought they were super well done, especially for this type of book. Like, don't get going into it expecting that it's going to be like fantasy type of characters because it's not. It's really important for me because it didn't feel unreal, like the characters and everything. The next thing that I really want to talk about that I really enjoyed was the POV. And we're basically following Dr. Shepard from the beginning till the end. And it's amazing to have that peripheral narration done well because usually you don't get time to actually spend with the character that you're with. In this instance, Dr. Shepard. It's usually when they meet Hercule Poirot, it's all about him. But here you get to see Dr. Shepard doing his thing, trying to actually solve the murders on his own, and then just get to talk to Hercule and exchange things and clues and whatnot. And I found that very interesting because it didn't showcase how amazing Hercule was. He wasn't as important in a sense to the story. You were more focused on Dr. Shepard and the people he was talking to or interviewing or how he was thinking. And I find that super refreshing because still it didn't make Hercule Poirot feel like a superhero, which I really appreciate. The next thing that I want to touch on is the plot. I was hooked from the get-go. It started with us receiving the news that a character was murdered. And it got me hooked. Like, I usually have this fear of starting new books. Even though I love starting new books, I'm very scared that I'll have to like give it 50, 100, or I don't know how many pages until I'm in the world and I get to know the characters and I'm very interested in seeing how the story progresses. But this book started instantly and I didn't feel like I used to feel with other Agatha Christie stories that she would just pour out a lot of information and a lot of characters and you do not know them, any of them. And it's very hard for me to like keep track of all the characters and their wives and their like mothers and whatnot. Here it felt very natural and organic because you got to see Dr. Shepard make this call like this person died and how he broke the news to each character. And I find that much more organic and much more like digestible for me as a reader to actually get to know the characters and understand what's going around me much easier than usual. And I really enjoyed the pacing of the overall story because I didn't feel bored or it didn't feel like Agatha was just feeding me a lot of clues and I was just befuddled the whole time and I felt stupid because I was with Dr. Shepard and because he was just as not in the know as I was. And I felt very comforted by the fact that I was just trying to like understand what was going on around me as the characters were themselves. I don't know, I just enjoyed the fact that the detective was like down to earth. In a sense, it wasn't like, I'm Hercule Poirot, I came at the ending of the story and I solved it all just by looking at it for 1 second. And the last thing that I want to talk about without getting into the spoilers is the ending. which I find incredibly satisfying. I absolutely love the ending. I'm not going to say anything more because I think that anything I will say will be a spoiler, but I really enjoyed the ending. I really enjoyed, which is weird, I really enjoyed Hercule Poirot because usually I find him very unrelatable, but in this book he was more real, more as a person. He had like things that he was going through and people that he was missing, and I find that really cute of him.
Oh, there was a reason, Chief Inspector, of that you can be sure. And when we know it, we will know everything.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the ending. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm satisfied that I now know who did it, but I was like, wow, that happened, which is good, especially from like a detective novel. It's so good. So this is the non-spoiler part of the video. Now I'm going to get in the spoiler part, so be warned. So the thing that I want to talk about in the spoiler part of the video is how Poirot was introduced. And it wasn't like in other books that he was, oh my god, there's a murder here, so let's call the only guy that can solve it. He was introduced. It was just by coincidence that Poirot just moved in next door to our Dr. Shepard, our main character, our like POV of the whole story. And I really like that. And I really like the fact that Poirot didn't jump on the case instantly. He had to like be like persuaded in order to like help them because he was trying to retire. So I really like that. It wasn't like, I'm Superman, I can appear where murder happens and I'll solve it. It felt very like real and like a serendipity of sorts. And the main thing that I want to talk about in this spoiler part is the ending. I am enamored with the ending because I didn't expect it. Like, I usually go into detective novels or mysteries trying to like not think about anything because I want to actually like be surprised by the end, and this delivered. So the murderer was Dr. Shepard all along, and I was shocked. Like, I was, wow. The thing that I think made the ending so much better was the fact that throughout the whole story you're following Dr. Shepard and you get to see what he thinks about the murder, and you're never thinking that he might be the one to do it because he's the doctor of the village, he's the person that maybe everybody there relies on, so he's like obviously had to be the good guy, and it never once crosses your mind that he might have done it. And the fact that you got to spend so much time with him, the fact that you got to see like his personal life, how he dealt with his sister who was very nosy and detective-like, and it was very fun throughout the whole story. And I was actually betting my money on like Flora Ackroyd, which I feel very bad about now, but it's such a satisfying ending, and the way that it was delivered as well. Like, it was so good because we had that meeting, that usual Poirot meeting that he calls up all the suspects and tells them, now it's time to speak the truth because I know who did it, and you have like a day before I call the police and you're all wanted. And I really enjoyed that because after the whole spiel, the whole like shebang happened, he tells all the characters you can go now, but obviously Dr. Shepard stays behind because they're friends by now, because it's been like 2 weeks, I think. And then he's like, you know, they like sit on the chairs behind like and next to like the fireplace, and he's like, you know, I know you did it. And you're like, what? Who did it? Dr. Shepard? I don't think so. And it's so like it catches you off guard, and then like the whole dialogue between them is so good. Like, I really liked seeing that part of Hercule Poirot because he felt like a person that was enraged, and he was angry that someone like that had to be like good and acted like he was good was this like vicious murderer. And I really liked this book. If you're like new to Agatha Christie, or if you don't know like what type of detective story you want to pick up because maybe you've been disappointed in the past, like I've been, I definitely suggest The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. It's super amazing, and I think that people that haven't read it, I already have already exited the video, so I'm still recommending it. You can like go for a reread because it's that satisfying of a book. So yeah, if you've read the book, like let me know what are your thoughts about it, because I really want to talk about this book. I'm actually tunnel vision for it at the moment. So yeah, so this was my thoughts and opinions on The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.